Australians are rich, very rich. In fact, we are one of the richest citizens in the entire world. Close to 10% of our adult population is worth over $1 million, and that is in US dollars, not in Aussie dollars. And only 0.32% of the world population live in this country. With a landmass of over 7.688 million square kilometers, it is a country and a continent all on its own.
Why is Australia so rich? Many call it the lucky country, and it has continued to live up to its enduring title. But what could have led to this extreme luck? Australians are so rich that the country holds the top spot according to the mean wealth criterion. And don't forget that the Australian economy managed to dodge the global financial crisis. When many nations experience recessions and sharp drops in income, they are indeed quite lucky. And you'll be thrilled to know that almost 10% of the adult population in Australia is valued at over $1 million US dollars, not Aussie dollars. And Australian adults' average wealth is $483,755, which is more than Luxembourg's average wealth of $477,306. Now the question is, why is Australia so rich, and what makes Australia unique compared to most other nations on the globe? Is it merely luck, or is it Australia consistently outperforming other nations due to certain institutional, political, or policy factors? Or is their superior quality of life only built on natural resources? Let's find out. The Australian economy has been blessed with massive amounts of natural resources, so luck has definitely played a part, as most other countries aren't blessed as much. With the exception of crude oil, Australia ranks in the top 15 exporters of all major commodities, including agricultural goods. So as a result, the economy is given natural protection even when commodity prices are high, as they currently are. Australia is also the world's largest producer of bauxite, opal, and iron ore, and it ranks second in terms of lead, manganese, and gold production. That's not all. The Australian economy also depends on a number of other commodities, like coal, natural gas, zinc, cobalt, and uranium. Given that Australia is the world's top producer of opal, aluminum, and the third largest producer of diamonds, it must have a very strong foreign exchange. However, natural resources are only a tiny portion of the whole picture. In fact, Australia has about 10% of its economic activity is accounted for by the mining industry. The mining industry of Australia employs over 250,000 people. And according to the Australian Bureau of Statistics, the typical weekly wage there is 2,325 Australian dollars, as opposed to $1,500 for the entire economy. And these job opportunities don't exclude Australians with low levels of education. Both high and low levels of education can find good paying work in the mining sector. Even part-time workers in the mining industry made a median weekly salary of over 2,000 Australian dollars. Also, for graduates with excellent skill levels, some entry-level positions pay up to 100,000 Australian dollars. Australians' wealth is not just due to mining though. There are millions of people who do not work in business and still score quite well on the wealth indices. So, what else has made Australians so wealthy? The fact that Australia is one of the world's top producers and exporters of food, and that its food business is predominantly centered on locally produced goods, is another factor contributing to its wealth. As an illustration, cereal crops are grown across broad areas of the nation, and the country produces a variety of products, including fruits and vegetables that ensure the nation's food security. Australia is also one of the nations with the largest cattle herds, with a number of beef exports that is second only to Brazil, and the second largest sheep-rearing nation after China in the world. Another very obvious reason for their wealth is their highly developed infrastructure. And you might wonder, how does this matter? Well, good infrastructure results in easy distribution of goods and services. And on top of that, they have an energy industry that is strong enough to supply enough energy to power the entire nation. Moreover, the leaders of the nation are not exempted. The nation has a stable governmental structure that fosters a business-friendly climate, and as a result of the stable business environment, it draws numerous investors to the nation. Another key element that contributes to Australia's wealth is its wise immigration strategy. In contrast to other countries whose immigration policies attempt to increase cultural and ethnic diversity, Australia concentrates on attracting the most highly qualified and competent employees without focusing on where they are from. All of these certainly contribute to Australia's wealth. However, there's one final piece to the puzzle that reveals why Australians are so wealthy. And what could it be? The final piece is superannuation. Australians save for their retirement through a system known as superannuation. In 1991, the Australian government instituted the superannuation guarantee. It was a new law that required employees to contribute a portion of their earnings to a pension plan. This is very similar to a 401k in America or a defined contribution pension in the UK. After citizens contribute a portion, these accounts are then invested in the market. Smart, right? At one time, this contribution was 10%, and by July 2027, it is expected to climb to 12%. This superannuation plan is a tax-efficient way to save for retirement, so employees can contribute more now and in the future. And if you're wondering if this is important, it sure is! The superannuation system essentially ensures that every Australian worker enjoys financial security in retirement. This is what has made Australians some of the world's wealthiest individuals. Also, at any time when government spending is under pressure, a substantial portion of that spending still goes toward retirement benefits. So it has enabled Australia to implement a means-tested state pension system, ensuring that those with the greatest wealth receive the least assistance from the government. Other countries can learn from this. How cool is it that your country makes you take financial steps that will secure your future effortlessly? Well, that's what the Australians enjoy. Everyone is effectively required to save and invest until retirement, and every few years, the required amount of saving increases. Australians are indeed lucky. But why do some claim that Australia's economy won't continue to expand in the coming years? As of 2023, there are clearly dark clouds on the horizon, and just like the majority of industrialized economy, Australia is also dealing with elevated inflation and rising interest rates. There are indications that domestic price momentum is still uncomfortably high, and before the board pauses to consider the impact, it appears that the cash rate will peak at around 3.6%. All of these hikes, combined with high inflation, would definitely strain household budgets, and despite the recovery of 7.5% in 2022, consumer expenditure is expected to climb by less than 2% in 2023, which is significantly slower than the trend growth rate. Another unlucky prediction for Australia is related to China. The forecast for China, Australia's biggest trading partner, is equally bleak due to the continued real estate slump and the ongoing disruption created by COVID lockdowns. But will Australia survive? Well, the odds are quite high that it would. And why is this so? The COVID-19 pandemic left a financial hole that nations all across the world are still working to fill and are still struggling to revive their economies. However, many nations are already progressing and performing well. And of course, Australia is on that list. In the final 3 months of 2021, Australia beat most predictions that it would not perform well by a very large margin. What a country! And although they definitely had their own fair share of experiences during the pandemic, they were less severe than in other nations. Despite losing its most significant trading partner, China, Australia was able to successfully replace it with other countries. In 2023, Australia is expected to continue to be the lucky nation and is likely to avoid recession. Because compared to the US and several European countries, Australia's headline inflation rate is lower. This suggests that in contrast to other nations, the RBA's objective of controlling high inflation without bringing about a recession, commonly known as a hard landing, will be easier to achieve. But has recession never had a chance against Australia? Yes, it has. Australia has previously experienced a prolonged recession, but it was a very long time ago. The first recession since the establishment of the United Nations System of National Accounts occurred in 1974 to 75, the second in 1982 and 83, and the most recent in 1991 to 92. And unlike a large portion of the developed world, Australia escaped a technical recession during the GFC of 2006 to 2008. And while they did have a technical recession during the COVID-19 pandemic, the RBA still regards this time as a downturn because of how rapidly the economy recovered thanks to fiscal stimulus programs. As a result, Australia has avoided crippling recessions for about 3 decades, marking the longest stretch of continuous development for a developed country since World War II. And despite 2 years of border closures, migration is currently quickly recovering because of Australia's commitment to inward migration, lifestyle, and existing immigrant communities. Australia's gross domestic product, or GDP, was predicted to rise steadily between 2022 and 2027 by a total of $8,986.3 US, plus 13.53%. In 2027, the GDP per person is anticipated to reach $75,393.91. However, given that Australia has one of the freest and least interventionist economies in the world, it shouldn't come as a surprise that the capital and labor previously employed in the mining sector would be transferred to other sectors of the economy. Once the minerals run out, relations with China deteriorate, or the global demand for these products simply decreases. One distinctive feature of this country is that in the event of a crisis caused by the depletion of exploited natural resources, the Australian economy has sufficient freedom and flexibility to recover. To sum it all up, Australia can withstand any economic breakdown, and if you still doubt it, time will tell. Make sure to subscribe to this channel, and don't forget to click the notification bell. Also, give this video a big thumbs up. And if you have any concerns, questions, or opinions about the video, don't be shy. Just leave a comment down below.